nti ebigenda maaso byeyoleka lwatu nti mwami Yoweri Kaguta Museveni agenda maaso n'okuteekateeka n'okumaliriza rather ebigenda maaso byeyoleka lwatu nti mwami Yoweri Museveni agenda maaso n'okutuukiriza enteekateeka ye ey'okutta Dr. Besigye. Gwe mupango gwakutta Dr. Kiza Besigye. Omupango guno baagutandika ng'ennaku z'omwezi 16 lwe baamujja ku Riverside e Nairobi, gye baali balina okumuttira ne batamuttirayo. Bwe bamala omuzza e Uganda ne bagamba katumuyise mu bintu bino ebyekimpatiira bino ebya trial ebya General Court Martial, tumuyisemu lukwakwayo, oluvannyuma tumutwale ku Kalaba ku firing squad. Ne basooka bamuggulako ekisango kimu ekya compromising security, bukola ebintu bye bayita ebiri subversive ebigendera okutta mwami Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Omusango ogwo guli section 128 ya UPDF Act nga gasinga gukusinga ogenda Kalaba. Kati byonna bye bazze bamuyisaamu mu General Court Martial byonna muzze mu biraba, buli kantu konna ke tubadde tusaba nga bakagoba ne bwe tubadde tuteekawo amaanyi ne bagaa kati balwoya kati tubatiisetiise be bafuuse obulabe, ne bakwata Aaron Kiza ne bamuyisanga ekyonziira ne bamukasuka ekitalya gye mumanyi gyavundira. Kati ne bagamba kati balwoya mujja kutulaba. Okusooka twali balwoya 42 naye wano twasembeddeyo nga tuli 23, abamu nga bibatamye naye abalala bakyali bagumu. Kakati bwe twagendera mu Christmas ne batandika olukwesikwesi olw'okulaba nti Dr. Besigye talaba bantu, ne bagamba nti bagenda kuggalawo luzira abantu obutamulaba okuva ng'ennaku z'omwezi 16 Desemba paka 18 January ne bafulumya notice. Baagikyusa luvannyuma nga pressures nga tebaagala tutwaleyo mmere. Okusooka Dr. Besigye baamuleetanga ng'abantu we bali ne bamuwuubirako, kati bamukukusa bukukusa mu kakeeja ako ke bamutwaliramu. Bakeera nnyo ku makya nga ne bannamawulire tebannajja. Bwe baba bamuddusa nga bamufulumya nga kooti ewedde mu Jirukasi bamuyiseeyo manju. Kati yabadde teribusa neeruzira ne bagamba kati okumulabako kizibu. Bataddewo ekikeeji ekigiraasi. Abagendayo abatonotono be bakkiriza mwogerera ku ssimu, abeera eri emabega w'ekigiraasi bwe ng'oli eno nga mwogera nga bali ku ssimu nga n'amaloboozi gano bonna bagawulira. Tebakomye ku ekyo ne bagamba n'ebyokulya kakati tebakyakkiriza bireetebwa kuva bweru kasaba banga babirina mu kantini yaabwe, tojja kubirya, tojja kubireetayo. Ne bagamba nti ebintu ng'obusera, ebintu nga omuceere, amagi, ebintu nga soda obaki, amazzi, ebyo babirina mu kantini. Sukaali, ebyo byonna babirina wali mu kantini, ebyo temuddamu kubireeta. Kakati ng'ekigendererwa kyabwe kyakugamba nti Dr. Besigye alina okuba nga alya ebintu ebivudde mu kantini yaabwe ebitamanyiddwako wa gye bivudde, n'okuba nti tetuyinza kubyesiga, ne Dokita tayinza kubyesiga. Kati baganye abantu Dokita be yeesiga nti bajja kumuleetera ebintu ebitaliimu bulabe, bamuleke alye ebyo ebyabwe bye tutayinza kakasa nti si bya bulabe. Kati okwo kwe kwavudde ekyamaze eggobe mu kibya. Ye mutabani wa Museveni akulira amagye asamwasamwa n'ebigambo buli ddakiika okufulumya ekigambo ekigamba nti Dr. Besigye bye mulimu katemba. Ffe nga gavumenti n'amagye twamaliriza dda oyo tugenda mujjako omutwe ng'ennaku z'omwezi 9 omwezi ogw'omukaaga ye Heroes Day. Bwera n'omuti kwe bagenda omusiba akandooya nga baasibanga ku ssaawa ya Queen, bamaze dda okugufuna eggulu bamusibe ku muti, bamukubira okwo amasasi. Kaakati ebyo byonna bikulaga ekintu kimu nti omupango gwa mwami Yoweri Museveni ogw'okutta Besigye munene era akyaguliko amaliridde. bino byonna ebya Mugabe byakola bifaananako nga Pontius Pilate bye yakola nga Herode ayagala okutta Jesus, nga Pontius Pilate talina kyayinza kwogera. Kakati embeera eyo gye bataddemu Dr. Besigye, naffe tumaliridde emirundi egiwerako, egimu nja kugibabuulira. Ekisooka, ebigenda mu maaso tugenda kubirwanyisa n'okusekulwanyisa yenna okugyayo ag'omu buto okulaba nga mwami Museveni tatta Besigye. Ekyo tumaliridde. Tugenda kuwakanya ebya General Court Martial byonna ebigenda mu maaso, era legal team emaliriza empapula ez'okugenda mu kooti etaputa ssemateeka okuwakanya bino byonna bye bakola mu General Court Martial. Ekyo nga tugenda okufayiringa, tugenda bategeeza. Twasazeewo nti Dr. Besigye naye yennyini actually yasazeewo sinafu, yasazeewo nti ebintu ebyokulya byabwe ebyomu kantini tajja kubirya, ne bwe kinaaba kitegeeza kugenda ku starvinga oba kugenda ku gye bayita hunger strike obutabaako kakulya, bweba nga balemeddeko nti byalina okulya alirede, kubanga bwalya ebyomu kantini ekiddirira kufa, ne bwatalya era ekiddirira kufa. Waakiri osalawo n'ogamba nti sijja kubirya kanfe, oba waakiri asalawo naga sijja kulya butwa mwami Kaguta Museveni kanfe enjala mu kifo ky'okufa obutwa bwa mwami Kaguta Museveni. Kakati eyo position weeri, naye era ffe tugambye nti olunaku olwaleero tugenda kutwalayo ebyokulya. Baatugambye simanye ebintu nga omuceere, obusera, sukaali, amagi, ebiki, ebyo byonna mbu babirina mu kantini, ebyo temuleeta tubirina wano mu kantini, n'amazzi. Kali imagine mbu n'amazzi tetutwala, ne soda tetutwala, n'amata tetutwala. Kitegeeza buli kimu bakirina mu kantini wali. So ffe tugenda kutwalayo ebyaffe. Ekinaasalawo kyekiddako kijja kusinziira ku ngeri gye bagenda otutreatingamu nga tumaze okutwala ebintu. Bwe babikkiriza kijja kuyamba obulamu bwa Dr. Besigye obutasalawo kugenda ku hunger strike. Naye singa babitugaana ne tukomawo nabyo, kiba kitegeeza nti Dr. Besigye agenda kubeerayo nga talina kyakulya. Akaseera kano we twogerera ali kumalawo sitooka enkadde, kuba abaddeyo ebibadde bitwalibwayo abooluganda, ab'emikwano n'abakulembeze bangi. Twagala bategeeza nti abantu baagadde Dr. Kizza Besigye. Olunaku teruziba nga tewali atatutteeyo bintu, teruziba. Buli lunaku afuna ebyokulya, buli lunaku afuna ebyokulya ebigendayo wali. Kaakati baagala kusalako ebyo byonna, naye olwaleero ffe kyekigenda okusalawo ebyo ekiddako. Ekirala ekiriwo ye gye bayita solitary confinement, baamusiba yekka, tebamukkiriza kwetaaya ng'amateeka bwe galagira nti omusango tegunnamusinga, waliwo ze bayita pre-trial rights, nti yadde omuntu ali ku rimandi naye alina eddembe lye erimu lyasigaza ng'alirina. Situgamba nti bamutwala akole kasanvu alime n'abasiba abalala, kuba waliwo be batwala ku faamu z'abalala ne balima. Era abasajja n'akikola n'amutwala ku faamu y'omuntu omu eyo, simanyi alima ku Misiri, ajja kutwebendegera. Naye tugamba bamukkirize, waakiri anyumyeko n'abasiba abalala. Waliwo abasiba abazannya emipiira, waliwo abasiba abaluka ebintu, waliwo abasiba abazannya emizannyo egy'engeri, waliwo abasiba abakola ki. Kale ebyo byonna baba babimuganye, n'ekyokusaba ne bakimugaana, kubanga olw'Essande baali mulese n'agenda mu kanisa, oba baali mulese n'asaba ennaku endala zonna z'aba ayagadde, baabimulemesa. So ebyo byonna twagala obbirwanirira okulaba nga rights azifuna. Ekisembayo kyekyo Electoral Commission olwaleero etandisa exercise yaayo eya okuzza obuzja register, era bagamba abantu mujje mwenna mugende mwewandiisiriza, buli omu abaagala okukyusa polling station, abapya mujje, abakola ki. n'ebintu bibiri ffe ebitwenyamiza. Ekisooka Electoral Commission we yafulumiza amawulire mu kaseera ke kamu nti enju yaabwe eri ku muliro, nti obubbi obuli mu Electoral Commission tebabulabangako, bo bennyini be babulangiridde okusinziira ku lipoota ya Auditor General. Era ne bagamba abo tiimu simanya ba Leonard Mulekwa baani nti abo tubakususpend, tibabakutte bakutwala mu kaguli. Ne ssente ezimu ezaalikoze ku mirimu gino ne bagamba zaabulankanyizibwa mu Electoral Commission. Kaakati ke kaseera ke kamu abali enju ng'eri mu nsasagge erimu obubbi bwe boogerako ate baga nti bagenda mu exercise. Okakasa otya eggwanga nti kyogenda okukola kiri credible? Era ffe oyagala tukole ki mu mbeera eyo? Ekyokubiri ffe kitukwatirako ddala nga PFF kwe kuba nti certificate yaffe okutuusa kati batukandaaliriza. Twabagamba nti etteeka ligamba nti ekibiina kasita kiwaayo okusaba kwakyo mu nnaku 3 olina okuteeka notice mu gazeti eyita buli omu alina okuwakanya yenna lwaki tokiwandiisa. Najja n'ateekayo ennaku 3 zaggwako dda. Akawaayiro ak'okusatu mu kawaayiro ak'omusanvu oba ennyingo ey'okusatu kagamba nti Electoral Commission ya ddembe bw'ebanga simmativu okwebuuza kukola gye bayita verification, ogenda okunoonyereza erage nti emikono gino bano gye bateekayo mituufu oba ssemateeka waabwe ddala mutuufu oba ki. Naye bano bakitwala nga tteeka nti kibakakatako. Balina amakubo mangi ge basobola okukozesa ekyo. Twabagamba nti musobola districts ziri 140 mu mmeka, kubayo twatwalayo district 110 mukubeeyo essimu mubuuze nti okubayo emu 2 3 4 mu buli district nga kiwedde. Naye mbu bayungula ttiimu zigenda ku ground ate bwe zituuka ezo zikwatagana ne ba RDC ne bakwatagana ne ba DISO ne ba GISO ne batandika ate kutulugunya abantu abaseetekako emikono. Tufuna reports okuva mu district ez'enjawulo abantu baffe ate babatiisatiisa. Ddala omukolo gwe waguteekamu ddala sayininga wano tulabe oba ddala gwe wasayininga okakasa ggwe bwe banakuteeka mu kaguli onoobinnyonnyola babatiisatiisa. Omuntu akugambye nze nasayininga ate omwongerako. Batuwandikira ebbaluwa gye buvuddeko eyo nga bagamba nti kale ba 16 bajja kuba bamaliriza 16 January. Ne batugamba nti tubachekingeko nga 17 certificate yaffe izo okuba ng'eri ready. 17 ne ziyita 18 ne 19 twabadde mu weekend. Olwaleero Manda 2 tugenda mu EC, tiimu yaffe gendayo. Bwe batuwa certificate yaffe olwaleero nga tubabuulira ekiddako. Neffe tukyali awo tulinze certificate yaffe then tubabuulira ekiddako. So n'olw'ensonga eyo mujja kutuwamu akadde tumale okupushinga certificate yaffe olunaku olwaleero oba bonna bwe banaagituweera tubabuulira ekiddako. So era tugamba mwami byabakama please toyinza kubanga otuulidde certificate yaffe ate ng'otugamba bannange mugende mukubirize abantu bacekinge amannya gaabwe mu register bakole bati. Singa abantu batubuuza nti ate certificate yammwe eriwa byabakama girina. So olwaleero nga bw'ofulumya register fulumizaawo ne certificate yaffe tulabe ekiddako. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala. And the whole circus going on in the General Court Martial. Also about the EC calendar which has been rolled out today to update their voters register. On the question of Dr. Besigye, you may have noticed information coming through is quite clear that Dr. Besigye's life is in danger, increasingly. The nation should be worried. We are extremely worried that Dr. Besigye's life is in danger. It's abundantly clear that the mission to finish him off is underway, just like we alerted you a couple of weeks ago that Mr. Museveni's agenda is to send Dr. Besigye to the Gilton, and obviously events unfolding are a testament to what is happening. Number one, the restrictions being imposed on him, which are quite clear by the prison's authorities. He's in solitary confinement as we speak right now. Previously, when he had just been remanded to Luzira, it was easy to access him somehow. Of course, we had to go through some processes, but there were the normal checks that would be done in any given prison facilities. But increasingly along the way, they started imposing stringent measures. Now, where we stand today, accessing him is nearly impossible. Those who have visited him of late can bear testimony to the fact that you can hardly have physical interface with Dr. Besigye. He's in a cage-like structure with glasses and then some telephone line which is installed there for communication purposes. Those of you who have visited some offices which are high regarded, like embassies, the person you talk to is behind that glass, and the communication is not even private. So those are the new arrangements they have put there. As to the detention facilities, ideally you should be enjoying free interaction with other inmates. But as we speak right now, he's in a solitary confinement all alone. Even when he faces issues that require assistance from anyone who is close to him, it's hardly to come by. Accessing other inmates is now prohibited. And in addition to that, you know, when you are on remand, in the law, there are pre-trial rights. There's what we call pre-trial processes, pre-trial rights. You are not a condemned person. You are not a convict. There are rights you continue to enjoy even when you're on remand. One of those key, fundamental rights is the freedom of worship. If you noticed, by the way, those who have been to Luzira and many other prison, facilities, there's more interaction by inmates of different sects, of different denominations. They interact quite often. But for Dr. Kizza Besigye, not even on a Sunday that is allowed to attend the church. All the inmates are allowed to do so. On Fridays, they go for prayers, Muslims. On Saturdays, the seventh days, and on any other days, because every day is a day for prayers. He's at liberty to pray as many times as he wishes. But he is not permitted to do so. That is an affront to the Bill of Rights. It's an affront to the pre-trial rights which are duly guaranteed under the Constitution. And they point to the mission Mr. Museveni declared of eliminating Dr. Kizza Besigye. Then the other thing is about his welfare now. You know, it's a common practice and it's not prohibited under the law for your loved ones, friends, and whatnot to bring you foodstuffs when you are in prison. It's allowed. There's no problem with that. Actually, prisoners are allowed to cook for themselves. But with the Dr. Besigye, yes, initially he enjoyed that right, but now increasingly it is fizzling out. It all started towards the festive season when some outrageous pronouncement was made that from the 16th of December up to the 18th of January, no visitors would be allowed to go to Luzira. It sounded like it was a rule of general application, but it was specifically targeting Dr. Besigye. Even when we visited him on the 23rd of December, it was a nightmare accessing him. And even handing over the items we had gone with, we had taken to him. So now, a couple of days ago, the rules changed. They imposed the new rules that for one to bring foodstuffs, they must cross-check that they don't fall in the category of those items they have within their in-house canteens. And you know what that means? That whatever is available there in their canteen can only be bought from there. Very irrational, unreasonable, outrageous, and of course illegal. You can't compel somebody to purchase items from your own canteens. What is their agenda? What is their intention in imposing that unconscionable and abhorrible condition? It points again to Museveni's mission. And himself is very, very, very worried about that. He has made an unequivocal decision never to procure items from their canteens. So if the situation remains like, that, then there's going to be a stalemate. That you do not allow foodstuffs from the loved ones from out as long as they are in the canteen. Say, for example, millet flour, they claim they have it, rice and a couple of other items. Yet, millet flour is his staple food. I'm sorry to go into his private life, but this is quite obvious. And they knew it very well, that actually his main staple food is millet flour. Now they are saying you have to procure that one from their canteen, including milk, rice, and all those kinds of items. This is dangerous. So those are all ominous signs which, again, fit within the mission that we have explained to you. Now the bombshell was unleashed by his erratic son, Museveni's erratic son, who is the CDF. He let the cat, literally, he let the cat out of the bag and said, the agenda of the regime is to take Besigye through a perfunctory trial at the General Court Martial, which is a sham trial. But the ultimate decision or goal is to execute him on Heroes' Day, that is 9th June this year. and that they have already identified a tree in Gulu which they are going to use as a pillar for firing squad. Why specifically Gulu? Heavens knows. Probably they also know why Gulu. Speaks directly to the mind of General Kaguta Museveni that Besigye should be executed. It speaks to the charges that are preferred against Dr. Kizza Besigye, specifically 2 counts. Section 128 of the UPDF Act talks about that offense of compromising the security of a country. Maximum sentence, you are liable to suffer death. Recently, they amended the charge sheet and they added on a professional accomplice who has featured in a number of criminal charges before the General Court Martial. He's called Dennis Ola. Dennis Ola has featured in a number of cases. The first one involving actually some NUP activists. And it is reported that over the last 2 years he's been on remand over the same, under the names of Dennis Ola Omoya something. Now they just picked him from wherever he had been kept and put him in the same dock as Dr. Besigye and charged him with those offenses. They added on that count of treachery. Treachery sounds like something simple, but it is in terms of the penalty, its gravity is in the cluster of terrorism and treason. Actually, it's another form, it's another term for treason because it carries a maximum sentence of death. The other 3 counts, of course, life imprisonment, that being in possession of firearms. But these 2 counts carry maximum sentence of death. So it's not without a reason that they did all that they are doing all those kinds of maneuvers. Amend the charge sheet, add on to somebody, amend the charge sheet, bring on a new count which carries a maximum sentence of death. Please stop people from bringing foodstuffs from within the prison facilities. Also restrict his movements. Don't allow him to interact with. So it's not without a reason. And obviously we have told you the agenda is to finish him off. In the latest tweet, General Keno Rugaba proudly said that the events unfolding have actually made them change their mind to bring forward the date of execution from 9th of June to somewhere, I think, in May or April somewhere. Surprisingly, nobody has called him to order. Or maybe not surprisingly, as expected. No single government official has called him to order. Not even his line minister. Or both. You can imagine, we just sympathize with or both. I think even when they meet, it is both who salutes. If he knows even how to salute. So both has not come out to say so, to call him to order. The other line minister who could be also connected is Kaindo Tafire. He's known to be outspoken. He's also tight-lipped now. He had to belittle and ridicule Parliament and said, those clowns, if they have summoned me on Monday, this is today, I will arrest all of them. and obviously the speaker also tight-lipped. So I think you all know the situation we are in right now, that the choreography is to finish off Dr. Kizza Besigye. So if anything happens to Dr. Besigye right now, Museveni is squarely responsible. He's in the hands of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. It is Museveni commanding the General Court Martial. It is Museveni commanding the prisons authorities. It is Museveni commanding the UPDF. He is every institution in charge of Besigye's life right now, and all the processes is under the command of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. The Besigye's, that is the Commissioner General of Prisons, Frank Abayine, poor man, they can always speak out. And all these little ministers, they can speak about the Twitter accounts of Muhoozi and whatever. Those are inconsequential. They are all inconsequential. The alpha and omega in all this scheme is Mr. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and probably his close family members. Those are the ones who are in charge of the whole mission of taking Dr. Besigye to the slaughterhouse. It's the reason, as the legal team and all the political actors, we said we are not going to sit back and escort Dr. Besigye to the slaughterhouse. That's not going to happen. And the reason we have said now, the General Court Martial, as a kangaroo court, we can't allow them to just take Dr. Besigye into that perfunctory trial, that process. Just like the case was during those biblical days of King Herod, when Pontius Pilate just had to conduct a sham trial of Jesus, but when a decision had already been handed down for his execution. We're not going to happen. I mean, we're not going to allow that process to continue and happen that way. So, as a legal team, of course headed by our senior colleague, Martha Karua, we are doing everything possible to get those proceedings away from the General Court Martial. Arrangements have been finalized to go to the Constitutional Court, which has severally pronounced itself on the constitutionality of subjecting civilian to court martial. Or they have on several occasions pronounced themselves on this abhorrible practice of subjecting civilian to martial law. Dr. Besigye is not subject to martial law, and we insist, and it's one matter we have to take to the Constitutional Court, of course with other issues regarding the due process, as we shall be explaining to you. And also Mr. Museveni's mission of executing Dr. Besigye definitely is going to boomerang. We are going to nip it in the bud. We are going to do everything possible. We are going to leave no stone unturned in thwarting Museveni's nefarious mission of executing or killing Dr. Besigye. We are not going to allow that to happen. We are determined as a team. So there are a number of activities we have lined up, which may not be for the benefit of the public as of now, but from all the meetings we have had, including this morning engagement, a number of activities and programs that we have lined up, and they will be rolled out in due course. Our message to Besigye, as the Commissioner General, please comply with the dictates of the law. We don't think you want to be an accomplice in the execution of Dr. Besigye, that you want to have Besigye's blood on your hands, Mr. Besigye. To Frank Abayine, You have treated this matter with a lot of arrogance. Calm down. Respect the command of the Constitution. Understand how delicate this matter is. How delicate it is. Rather, how delicate it is to have the person of Dr. Besigye's life in your hands, Mr. Besigye. You don't know what it means. You are playing with fire. You are just putting your notice. So stand up to General Museveni and tell him he's asking you to do much more than you have powers to do. Stand up to the authorities. Stand up to General Kaguta Museveni and tell him the truth. The Speaker of Parliament, stand up to Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Or both, I don't know. What message can we give him? And you know, when they removed the Oreru Huda from that ministry and put it anyway, for God and my country. With our efforts are being made to secure his freedom, his liberties. You know, he's illegally incarcerated. We have approached Uganda Law Society to step up measures because the legal fraternity should be concerned about the state of affairs, the threats being meted out against lawyers who cannot freely execute their duties in that stuffy room, in that environment which is hostile, which is not conducive for dispensation of justice. So we invited the president of Uganda Law Society, Mr. Semakadde, to rise to the occasion. Uganda Law Society gives mandate to the legal profession, actually to that body, to be a vanguard of fundamental rights in Uganda, rule of law, constitutionalism, to be at the forefront. That's our call. We insist that, please, even if it means laying down the tools, members of the legal fraternity should do so, especially about the oppressive nature of the general court martial process there. And in light of the new dispensation where the Supreme Court curtailed the mandate of the civilian courts when it comes to matters which are before the general court martial. The recent decision in Ogwanga's case in the Supreme Court, where they said that once matters have been handled in the general court martial, if you are dissatisfied with the process there, if you are dissatisfied with the conviction, don't appeal to the civilian courts. Don't come to the High Court, don't come to the Constitutional Court, don't go to the Court of Appeal. That is the decision they came up with towards the end of last year, which is very, very absurd and regrettable. These are all matters which should cause concern to members of the legal fraternity who are the vanguards of rule of law. And it's the reason we invite them, even if it means laying down the tools. Going on a sit-down strike, it should be done to ensure that the rule of law prevails. It's the reason we invited Mr. Semakadde. His platform as the new president, back to the roots, the new radical bar, bank tables, all back on track. All this mantra signals one thing, that please, action is needed, that we need to do things which are extraordinary. We are not in the ordinary times, usual environment. So we are doing everything possible also to enforce, to go to court, the ordinary courts of law, the courts of judicature, to enforce the rights of our brother Aaron Chiza. We are teaming up with a very, very formidable team of lawyers across board. They may not be part of the PFF or whatever, or Dr. Besigye legal team, but they are there in the civil society world, in the academia, and elsewhere. There are many. It's a very big network, and we're very grateful to all of them, all the actors who have come out to vigorously pursue this. Now, the last issue is about, no, but before we take a leave of this matter, as the PFF, we have taken a decision to defy the stringent measures that have been imposed by the prisons authorities to stop us from taking food there. We are continuing to take food to Dr. Kizza Besigye. So we are putting Mr. Besigye on notice and his entire team, please comply with the law, unless you are going to arrest all of us. We are going to bring kashera, the millet flour. We are going to bring rice. We are going to bring cooking oil. We are going to bring all items. All the items we consider to be necessities in the life of Dr. Kizza Besigye. We are going to continue bringing them to Luzira, beginning from today.
Freedom for all.
All for freedom.
All for freedom.
Freedom for all. So we are not going to allow you to offer an environment that will ease Museveni's mission of killing Dr. Besigye. Because obviously, if he is restricted to their food there, the mission is to poison him, nothing else. They want to poison him, that is the fact. Many people have been poisoned from prisons, many. We don't need to list the names here, you know many who have died under mysterious circumstances. The EC registration exercise. They have announced today their commencement, the voter registration update exercise, which I think it has got a deadline in February. But it comes at a time when the EC is embroiled in controversies. This is a paradox. You know, of recent, the headlines have been so screaming. 5 top officials have been sacked over mismanagement of EC affairs, including funds meant for this exercise. There is Leonard Mulekwa and others. Leonard Mulekwa, I think, has been acting as the spokesperson, whatever. And the others. So the house is not in order, obviously. They are in a terrible crisis. Now they are rolling out a very, very significant and important exercise when they are in a state of disarray, of confusion. Big headlines screaming. So how can one trust that exercise to begin with? When the money you are saying it was meant for this exercise has been squandered, and the top officials in the EC are implicated in the same, shockingly, they have not been prosecuted. All we heard is that they have been interdicted. They are just seated at home. Just suspended, actually, not even interdicted. Suspended, not prosecuted. That is the EC which is hitting the road with an assurance that whatever exercise they are going to engage in is credible. It's a paradox. But most significantly for us as PFF is the fact that they have not finalized the process of registering our formation. And they want our entity to actively participate in the process when they have been dilly-dallying with the issues regarding our registration. We finalized the process last year. We submitted all the requirements, the forms with the signatures, the constitution, all that is required under Section 7 and 8 of the Political Parties and Organizations Act. And the law is very clear. Section 7 commands that once Section 7, subsection 4 of the Political Parties and Organizations Act is couched in mandatory terms, that once subscribers, citizens desirous of registering a political party, submit their documents with the EC, they are duty bound to gazette a notice calling for any objection within 1 month. And with subsection 3 is discretionary, that the EC may verify the particulars contained in those particular documents, may or may not. But they have taken it as a given, as a mandatory requirement, that every minute detail has to be verified. It would suffice if they had just sampled and said, every district we shall call about 2 or 3. If they confirm that they are the ones who signed, you don't need to waste a lot of time. Now we hear there is even a collusion with the RCCs, the VISOs, the DISOs, and wherever. They are going village to village, hunting down some of our leaders who signed it on these papers. They are intimidating them. All that for what? Now, more recently, they released the communication with us and said, okay, by 16th of January, we would be done with this exercise. Today is 20th. And they asked us and said, once we are done by 16th, check on us, check. 17th, probably there will be some good news for you. 17th, obviously 18th was a weekend, 19th a weekend, now 20th. Hopefully our certificate is ready today. Mr. Byabakama, as you roll out this exercise, you should have started by giving us our certificate before you invite us to help you or to participate in your exercise. Now here we are. Once we set out to go into the field to mobilize the people, they say, who are you? But you are the one who is having our document. So we are asking Mr. Besigye, please. Oh, we are asking Mr. Byabakama. We are asking Mr. Byabakama, please, you have rolled out the exercise today, fine, but we want our certificate today. Because the promise you made, which was unequivocal, you'd be done with the exercise of verification by 16th January, and shortly thereafter, you'd be ready to give us our certificate. So, our participation or non-participation in this exercise, or the active role, or whatever role we are going to play, is a matter we shall let you know about. Because today we are going now to dispatch a team to the EC to collect our certificate. So once we have gotten that certificate, then we'll let the country know our next course of action. That is where we stand today as the team here at Katonga. But our main priority is the safety and life of Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, who is not only a commander at Katonga here, who is not only a central figure in all the processes we have, but a key pillar in all the governance issues in this country. And I'm sure all of you now, you can bear testimony to that. that once he is out of action, you can see the somber mood in the country. Everywhere you go, it's a somber mood. People are just whispering to one another, people are just talking in tongues, people are just... Because the lion is somewhere in a cage. So we want that cage broken. We get the lion to roar again. We thank you. May God bless you.
If you have some questions, the president can take the questions.
Mr. Museveni wanted to execute Dr. Chiza Besigye. When we went to the General Court Martial, the first day they appeared to be arraigned, they had even been remanded in 2 separate facilities. Brigadier Freeman Mugabe said, Besigye Ruzira, obeyed Chitalia. We protested against that. And they said, okay, fine. Now they are going to be in the same facility. By the way, it's the only positive ruling we got from Mugabe so far. In all the applications we have made, the myriad of applications that we have made, so the only one. He said, okay, fine, I let him be there. They have been, at least when we have been meeting them, they have been together. Now they have been separated. Dr. Besigye is all alone. And he's not allowed now even to talk to Ajobedi Rutale, which is dangerous. They can't now talk and converse. You can imagine the extent to which they have gone in violating the pre-trial rights of Besigye and Obed Rutale. Abubeka hunger strike. Hunger strike. Now, David Ijo. Yes, the issue of hunger strike, Dr. Besigye going on a hunger strike. The position that was made very clear. And we speak on good authority because this is his position. He's not going to eat prison food. So if the position remains that he can only access food from their canteen, then that means he's starving. Because he's not going to eat it. Get this scenario. You eat that food provided by Museveni in the canteens of Ruzira, the consequence is what? Death. You refuse to eat it, death. So which option do you have? You eat and die, or you reject and die. So that is it. Either way, the end result is what? Death. So that is the predicament we are faced with. And it is the reason we are saying today we are taking their foodstuffs. Because now this is the question Abu was asking. He's already on hunger strike. Today we are taking foodstuffs. There was a stock which he had previously. Towards Christmas, we had taken there some items which were quite enough. And dry ration, at least was still in stock. Even after that, many people have been taking there. Not only actually the leaders, very many people. And I think they are overwhelmed by the love shown to Dr. Besigye by so many people from all walks of life. So the dry ration had been there. But we are worried it may be exhausted today or tomorrow or any other day. So it is the reason we are taking the foodstuffs today. So if today we are blocked, then the next thing, you don't need to predict, to speculate what's going to happen. You don't need rather to guess or speculate what's going to happen. If we are blocked today, and his position remains firm that is not going to procure those items from their canteen, so your guess is as good as mine. I think those were the questions. Let's end it. This morning, of the prisons authorities, and he was vague in his response. He was vague. The way he talked, he was saying, okay, for us, we don't know the people who are bringing food. I said, are you sure? Anyway, don't talk to me. Talk to the Commissioner General of Prisons. And I said, but you are the spokesperson, please, Mr. Frank Abayine. You can explain these issues. He said, let me give you the number of the Commissioner General of Prisons. He was kind enough to give me the number, the line. He gave me the line. I have it here with me. I recorded it here in this notebook this morning, 0712640443. When I called it, first it was on. Then somebody picked it and said, who are you? Then I said, this is Rukwagerias from Katonga. Said, Katonga? Yes. He's in a meeting. After some minutes, I called it back. It is off. So what do we do? This is what we are saying. These are people who are intimidated to the hilt. I know Besigye, the prison, there's been some modicum of civility and professionalism. We must give them credit. There's been some modicum previously with the prisons authorities. There's been that modicum of civility and professionalism. But now with the new developments, it is totally fizzling out. They are quaking, they are fearing, they are orders. I can authoritatively tell you, when I spoke to Bayine, I realized he was not speaking his mind. He was not acting on his own volition. He's a man who is overwhelmed by orders from above. And that is the situation we are saying, please. Stand up to the authorities. Stand up to General 7 and tell him, please, these are things we cannot do. Let's leave it at that, I think. Thank you.